And we are live.
We are live. Back
It-
on in Texas and Louisiana.
it's morning time in Texas, still morning time, 11 a.m. in Texas. Welcome. Thanks for joining us there. Always love to see you guys. Texas and Louisiana. Of course, it's 12 p.m., 12 noon on the East Coast. And David, what is it, 5 p.m. over there in Ireland?
Yes, here on the island it is 5 p.m. Happy
5
hour.
p.m. on the hour. There is a lot going on. I was just on the. I was actually just on a call with Matt Dixon, our main guy from the morning show, and
Nice.
we were talking about quite a few other things. Yeah, the thing about it just is just constant. It is just constant what we have going on in the world right now. Doesn't stop. We have, of course, as you saw, the U.S. Air Force is now over there on the, they're saying on the border of Iraq and Syria. So
Jeez.
that is going to, I guess we're going to go bomb these guys over there without congressional approval. Totally craziness. It's craziness. It's craziness. But it's like we always talk about. And I put out a number of posts about it. We'll run over those in a minute. But he can executive order. We can go over and we can bomb a bunch of people, but we can't close the border. Yeah, you can't do that. You need Congress to do that. You need Congress to close the border. We don't need Congress to go bomb a bunch of people over there in some foreign country. Send our boys over there overseas. And guys are getting killed. God bless their family. Pray for them. Lift them up. I just saw Marjorie Taylor Greene on one of her videos. I'll play here in a second. And I think three of those guys are from Georgia. And you always know that can happen when you sign up for the military. But let's face it, it doesn't normally happen. And so that's it.
Yeah,
Horrible. It's horrible.
it's terrible, and it used to not think it would happen, and now for the last 20 or 30 years, it's been really consistent.
We have been in constant conflict. And I talked about this at the thing last night. I always talk about it all the time. The Federal Reserve, the central bank, started in 1913, same year as the IRS. And a year later, we were in World War I. We've basically been in conflict after conflict since then. Craziness. So I'm going to run over a few things here on my feed that I put out here. Let me just cue this up for us here. Nice day for cryptos, huh? Nice 24 hours or so. It's been a bit of a ride,
Yep.
but all in all, pretty nice. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
I agree with some big news tomorrow coming out with the ETFs.
Well, we have the Fed is having
Interest
their
rate.
meeting. So the Fed is going to meet, and yeah, exactly. So, okay, I'll just start. Where am I here? Okay. I like to have some fun on my Twitter feed. First of all, let's cover some of the. Actually, first of all, we'll cover this stuff. Okay. This is on my feed, Networks Manager. Make sure to follow Networks Manager. Follow David as well. He's Sir David Porter. The great Ron Paul released this yesterday. It's worth a watch. He speaks about the U.S. war hawks, Iran, and Texas, and more. I'm not going to play that now. Of course, that's. I think I played this yesterday, but it's worth watching because these are the guys taking us into war.
Here's fellow neocon Lindsey Graham just spelling it out and calling for the bombing of Iran.
So I've been on the phone all day to the Mideast, and I've told our allies and people with connections to Iran, what I would do, I would tell Iran that if Hezbollah attacks Israel, we're going to come after you, the Iranians, and have a coordinated effort between the United States and Israel to put Iran out of the oil business by destroying their refineries. There are 4 major refineries in Iran. They're fixed targets. If Hezbollah attacks Israel, I would make Iran pay a heavy price.
What exactly would happen to the United States if we declared war on Iran and started blowing up their infrastructure? Lindsey Graham has no clue what would happen. He hasn't thought it through. He's almost 70 years old and he has no children. He doesn't care. But neither, amazingly, do most of his colleagues in Washington. They're as reckless as he is. Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw took to social media to call for what he described as a war to end all wars, as if there is such a thing. But of course, there isn't such a thing. Wars beget more war. The bigger the conflict, the uglier and longer lasting the consequences. See World War I for details.
Yeah, I mean, the war to end all wars. I mean, that's pretty funny, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, a war to end all wars. How many times have we heard that one?
I don't think I've ever heard that one. It doesn't sound like that's going to work.
So the war to end, that was supposed to be World War I or World War II, was the war to end all wars.
Yeah, that's a pretty not my favorite slogan there.
I mean, with these neocons and these war hawks, we're gonna have a war to end all wars. I mean, come on, guys. So the other part about, he doesn't have a family, and that's what Tucker talks about. He doesn't have a family. He knows he's going to not be here, and he doesn't care. I don't have no idea what goes through that guy's head. I mean, that's unbelievable, really. This is the video about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and let me talk about this first. So the Biden and the U.S. administrative state, I call it the U.S. administrative state because that's our deep state, basically, and those are the guys you can't fire. They're the ones that work in the administrative capacity, whether we're in a whatever we are, like whatever president is there. They're there. That's the administrative state. Has delivered 6 refueling planes in the Middle East. Do you support these people using our military, men, and money to strike other countries without getting congressional approval? I'll talk about that in a minute. Let's watch Marjorie Taylor Greene here, one of everyone's favorites, congresswoman. And actually, let me read what I said about this first. So I said, why do you think that Biden and the administration, the U.S. administration, state is able to launch wars without congressional approval, even though it's required by the United States Constitution?
Lindsey Graham and the. What are your thoughts on some of the folks, including Lindsey Graham and the
I'm closing some tabs here.
Senate, who, in light of these 3 American service members who died over the weekend, calling for strikes inside of Iran right now?
Well, first, I just want to say that my heartfelt prayers are with them and their families. Those 3 servicemen were from Georgia. They are reservists. And so all of Georgia right now is really, really lifting them up in prayer. These are lives that should have never been lost. What I have to say to Lindsey Graham and others that are just madly calling for war is they sound psychotic, absolutely psychotic. War is very serious, and if the president is planning to go to war with Iran, he needs to come to Congress and ask permission, and this is something that Congress has to give approval for. And we're in a historic situation that I think many people need to pause and give a lot of thought about. We've had nearly 2 million people come into our country. These are gotaways. We don't know who these people are. They could be thousands of terrorists. So going off into bloodlust and launching bombs and missiles at Iran could lead to a very serious attack here and on our homeland, and it would be the Biden administration's complete responsibility for their ridiculous wide open border policies, and Secretary Mayorkas for willfully breaking our federal immigration laws. But I think this is a time that really leaders here in Washington, people making these decisions, the Biden administration, they need to take this serious and be careful with what they do.
Thank you for your time, ma'am.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Marjorie Taylor Greene there saying what many of us are thinking. And what a thought, right? So the way our Constitution works is that there's supposed to be you're supposed to go to Congress in order to get approval to go to war. And that's the way it works. That's the way the Constitution was written. But instead of doing that, we have a situation where really the central bank can print up whatever money they want. And so since that's possible, they don't need to go to Congress in order to get money to pay for the wars. And so that's the situation that we're in. And now you have, of course, Biden and whoever else. I mean, it's not just him going on about and just starting wars. We can just go bomb people. And so that's that is just a crazy part here. I just there was one other thing I wanted to show on this subject. I think it was this.
Republicans know how the world has changed because what Trump has done. And the American people, including independents and some Republicans, know how bad he is, know how much he's misrepresented, know how he's getting close to getting us in a war. I said, as the walls close in on this man, I'm worried he's going to get us to war in Iran. Unfortunately, I may have been right. The fact of the matter is there's a lot at stake in this election. The world has changed because what Trump...
Funny how they project, right? It's like they project what they're going to do. So I want to... And we can circle back on that. Let me talk about money for a minute, and then we're going to talk about some of the border stuff, because Bitcoin and crypto is flying right now. It's really having a great time. I think that we have a pretty nice setup of what's going on here. So impressive week for the top 10 cryptos. Bitcoin is up 20. That's supposed to be 10%. That is a typo. I think I can edit this here. We're going to edit this live, guys. Edit. 10. Oops.
20 would have been nice.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Maybe I'm foretelling next week. Bitcoin is up about 10%. Ethereum is up 6%. BNB also having a nice day. Solana just killing it, 26%. Cardano 11%. Avalanche, which is AVAX, 24.5%. Big gains. And those are that's the type of stuff that we have in Bitcoin and blockchain that you don't really have in other types of assets. I don't know. I need to go here. Okay. It's loading. Okay. Silver, the Dow is flat. That's stocks are kind of flat today overall. Silver has a little pullback, but basically it's holding. A little pullback though. It's up 3.5% on the week, remember. And then gold was up 0.5% earlier, so a little pullback. Of course, I took these screenshots during lunchtime as well. That sometimes that has a little bit to do with it. That's kind of funny. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, what do you think, David? I mean, do you think this crypto is going to continue to skyrocket?
Not so fast. They're about to spend a ton of money on these wars, so I don't think that they'll, it's like you said, it's bankers' wars, and bankers are making the crypto moves lately. So I don't think that they will go in. I think that they are at an accumulation phase after their ETF approval, and so I think that they sold off a bunch to the retail customers, and they will be accumulating back down to however far, and that's what I foresee. And maybe the second half of the year will start to rise again. Not saying that there isn't plenty of room in there for 10% up and 10% down for people to really take advantage of.
Especially if you're using leverage trading. The BitTrue is one of them. I'm going to talk to BitTrue. I was talking to Matt as well. They want to start offering a course on trading, so that could be pretty interesting for everybody. Leverage trading is pretty nice. I mean, the thing about leverage trading is if you go 2x leverage or 3x leverage on something, let's just say 2x to make it easy for everybody. If you go 2x leverage and you have a 5% move, that feels like a 10% move. So that can be good or it can be bad. But, you know, if you do 10x, well, then you have a 1% move, and that feels like a 10% move. Okay. So you can really do some interesting things if you have your technical analysis down and if you're paying attention. Let me just pull up Eve right here. Eve.io, one of our favorites. We've been working with these guys for quite a while. Of course, this is Matt's company. Yeah, you can see here. So they have their ratings here. These are A1s. They were supposed to upgrade me. It didn't go through yet. But you can see these are looking pretty good. Ethereum is up 3% on the day, which is nice. Now this is showing 11% for, of course, it's higher. That's a higher number than when I looked at lunch. But yeah, look at that Solana, 26%. Pretty nice. Pretty nice gains.
Indeed.
Okay, so we have some crazy stuff, of course, going on at our border. I tweet up.
Did you check the gold and precious metal market?
I did. Yes.
Perfect.
Gold held its value. It held its gains here. That's right here. Silver did a little pullback, and but it's up 3.5% on the week. And gold is it was up 0.5% earlier. So guys, I know it's people don't know where to buy gold and silver. You can buy gold and silver at cost at costmetals.com. If you go to costmetals.club, that forwards you to our referral link. Of course, you want to be in our line because of course we'll help you do all that type of stuff. But and you can buy gold and silver at cost. At the actual cost of what the dealers are getting. You pay a membership. That's the way it works. It's like Costco. I'm sure we all like Costco. I love Costco. It's my favorite store. Okay. I wanted to show this video here real quick. This is people coming through the border. Having a rough time today on my computer, huh?
Yeah, do you have any of these other programs running?
Oh, you know me. I have a lot of them running. Let me shut some things down here. Shut some things down for everybody so my thing will work. Let me see here. That should be fine. Okay.
It looks like they might be
This
wearing.
This is how easy it is.
Are they wearing MAGA hats?
He's wearing the MAGA hat. Look at this. And then you go register.
I mean,
and you're in. Or you don't.
It's unreal. I used to have somebody I knew, and they used to drink and drive and not care, and they would get pulled over and nothing would happen. They'd just be able to drive away.
Well, yeah, because they kind of had like no way to like kind of prosecute him, right? It was like too much work.
Well, they decided, or they were told not to.
Right.
They were told not to. That's what it is. Meanwhile, if you are American, you're getting the hammer laid down.
You're getting the hammer laid down. All right, this is worth reviewing. Do you remember this? Do you remember this, guys? Do you really think this was for some unruly teenagers? Look at this response. This is unbelievable.
Esta es una llamada a todas las unidades de la ciudad de Miami.
Ripple.
Esto es en Bayside ahora.
So what's the update on this?
¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? 9:35 de la noche.
Is there an update on this?
Oh no, it fell off. No one's talking about that. No. You don't talk about that. No update on that. Fell off of the news. So the deal was that the story that went around anyway was that there were 10-foot creatures.
Yeah.
People are saying that maybe it was the reptilians.
I must say that it's pretty interesting that there wasn't so much of a final report. There was just one officer came on and said, "Oh, it was just a little fight, and somebody hit the every officer of Miami arrive to the arena alarm."
Oh, is that the official word?
I mean, it was that was a pretty unofficial word, but a little more official than the 10-foot aliens.
I mean, I think that's the official story. 10-foot aliens.
Yeah. So it's interesting that there is not an official story.
I think we just made it. The official story is that it was 10-foot aliens.
Yeah. I mean, when are they going to start selling the action figures for the Miami 10-foot aliens? What I want to know.
That's what I want to know too. Are they going to make NFTs out of them? Listen to Dean Carroll.
Wait, she's not being shared.
As you said, stood up to the man, who, by the way, Rachel, is not even there.
He's not being shared for you?
Nothing.
It is now.
Okay.
Without, he is like a walrus snorting and like a rhino flying. And together, this team of brilliant young people have, as you said, stood up to the man, who, by the way, Rachel, is not even there. He's nothing. He is like a walrus snorting and like a rhino flopping his hand. He is not there. That was the surprising thing to me.
I mean, she's so credible, don't you think? She's so credible.
All right.
I mean, doesn't she just scream credibility?
I don't know.
I mean, she sounds like she's drunk, right? For one.
She does. Yeah.
All the time.
It's interesting to see in America, people are really working into their elder years, and you don't see that as much in other countries.
Yeah, it's true. So I haven't. This is an interesting clip here by Byron Donalds, Rep. Byron Donalds. Let's listen to this.
Biden has a border crisis.
It could be solved today. Joe Biden can issue an executive order and reverse his policies. So you got to understand, he put in 64 new policies in the first month of his administration, all executive orders. None of it went through Congress. There was never a vote by members of Congress for what's occurring on the southern border. So unfortunately, unless Joe Biden decides to reverse course on one of the first things he did in office, we're not going to see many changes unless there's an impasse on government funding or you elect a new president of the United States.
Biden.
Wait a minute. Well, hold on a second. What did he just say? Unless this, that, the other, you stop the funding or there's a new president of the United States. And that's really what it's all about, guys. And that's what we talk about all the time with the monetary revolution. Congress is supposed to be the purse strings. Congress is supposed to be who stops the funding. But they're not in control. They're not in control of the funding.
And you would think that Congress would want to step up and start to take control of this situation.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they just must all be so. What do they say? Fat off the hog. Is that how they say it? High off the hog. They must be making so much money that it just doesn't matter. This is interesting. Take Our Border Back convoy is making its rounds. Check this out.
Hours from now, a convoy of protesters calling themselves God's Army will set off for Louisiana, and it begins day 2 of a planned week-long protest over the Biden administration's border policies. Xavier Walton is in Jacksonville, Florida, with the very latest. Xavier, is this group, I don't know, up and at 'em for day 2 of traveling now?
Marky, they are up and at 'em. Some people awake this morning, and it is growing as well. This truck actually, just joined in Jacksonville, and the one here to your left, this RV, is the one that is going to be leading the pack, the convoy. This group going to great lengths, driving thousands of miles to highlight the ongoing issue at our southern border. The convoy pulling in late.
We're struggling.
Last night, welcomed by dozens of people waving American flags and a band singing the national anthem. One woman even giving the driver of this RV money, gas money. Supporters traveling from places like New Jersey and Missouri, some showing up from Georgia just to be a part of this Take Our Borders Back convoys. You see them pulling in. It comes as the standoff between Texas and the federal government over border enforcement intensifies. That plus the record number of encounters at the border last fiscal year is why Joseph Fulfer, who is streaming this, is driving across the country.
It's affecting my kids. When I'll have grandkids, and this is costing us billions of dollars. And I've been down there for months, and I can tell you the border is wide open.
After leaving Florida, the convoy, you see it here, heads to Louisiana before making stops along border hotspots in Eagle Pass, Texas, Yuma, Arizona, and San Ysidro, California. And that's where organizers say it's really going to pick up steam. And as I point you over here, it's not just RVs and trucks. It is also normal cars as well. That white vehicle there, a woman, I saw her this morning. She slept in it last night, got a few hours of rest, and she said she's getting ready to start driving again in just a couple of hours, Marky.
A lot of Americans that are devoted to this cause. Xavier Walton will check back in as they get going for day 2. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that people are out there and concerned about it and doing something about it.
Right? I mean, it is. I think that they should be careful probably about saying it's God's this and that and the other, and not because I think that that's so wrong, but just that we know that the federal government is profiling people for those types of things.
Well, that's a very good point.
Yeah, we want to be careful. We talk about it on the show quite a bit because, of course, I want to have people understand and not be taken advantage of. But, if you're, a call to arms, this and that and the other, well, your government is who is doing this to us. So if you are then calling for arms against the government, you're going to be put in even more files than you're already in. So there's really no need for that. And I think you should be careful about what you're saying, because that's really something else. But really a crazy situation that we have going on there. This is an older stock video, but it just shows the National Guard and what we have going on there at the border. I'm going to play this here. Oops, there we go. All right, here we go.
Hey, I'm Second Lieutenant Mata from the Air National Guard, 149 Fighter Wing. We're out here with Team D, SUAS Drone Team. So we're out here with DPS, and we're just going through our pre-flight checklist. We're about to go on mission. Our mission here is to observe and report to DPS. These drones are increasing our capabilities of finding people way faster, way more efficient. Once this camera goes off from a sensor, from people crossing, it'll be uploaded on the ATAC. And then once we get that hit, all of us, the brush team, DPS brush team, will respond to there and deploy the drones.
Today we just drove around, patrolled, listened to radio traffic, helped out on a few different calls, like looking for possible vehicles that's loaded up or scouting and stuff like that along 83. My favorite part of the job is, doing my part here on the border, like one day at a time, one stop at a time. Every day I put the uniform on and I come to work, I feel like I'm doing my part and I feel like I'm making an impact here on the border.
Pretty much we get tasked out through DPS to lay down concertina wire. So what goes into that is DPS will get contracts signed through private landowners, and then we'll take our heavy equipment and clear land and then implement the concertina wire to kind of filter the immigrants that cross over to the roads or private accesses to where Border Patrol can more easily pursue them and pick them up. So we're in Task Force South, Brownsville. We pretty much just make a drivable path like a dirt road. Pretty simple. We take our skid steers and go down and smooth it out, cut any brush out of the way. It pretty much just consolidates all the immigrants to the levee roads where they can just apprehend them easier.
Around 1,400, we got a report about anywhere from 600 to 700 migrants were coming over to Gate 36. So when my platoon came down here on their shift starting at 1,600, we started to help out BP corral all the migrants into one general area. And then we started sorting out who was surrendering and who was not. And then that's when we bring them all over here so BP can start processing them in a safe manner. I'm working with DPS, BP, and local law enforcement to help facilitate this action. Right now it is still ongoing. It still looks like there's about 400 to 500 of them out here. About 300 have finally left. Buses facilitated by BP. We were able to deter about half of this group that you're seeing out here. Decided to go once they saw a very heavy military and police presence in the area. The engineers are the best of the best. I mean, we constantly do the work and we're eager for more. We don't have a whole lot of limitations. We get tasked out to do something, whether it's BP or BPS, and we'll go full throttle. I have the best guys in business, stellar operators. I have a team of 12 members, including myself, which is pretty much the equivalent of the civil engineers, heavy equipment operators on the civilian side. And they do everything and anything that we ask of them. And they're eager to do the work and just further their careers.
Texas National Guard soldiers supporting Operation Lone Star patrol the southern border of Texas, deterring and turning back illegal immigrants. Engineers have put up miles of razor-sharp concertina wire, making it more difficult for criminals to cross into cities along the border.
One of the most common things they usually use, they like to get a bunch of rebars, bend the top so it looks like a hook, and they'll literally run up to the raw, hook up the rebar, and they'll use the rebar as a ladder.
So we just had two males dressed in all black. Both were wearing backpacks. They ran up north to where the short wall connects to the tall section of the wall. I used my LED flashlight to flag down a Border Patrol agent. He zoomed to us, he cut him off, and then they ran back south.
Guardsmen are responsible for turning back a total of over 30,000 illegal immigrants from entering the U.S. unlawfully, including members of gangs, cartels, drug traffickers, and human smugglers.
Just us being here alone is security in itself, because they see us and they're like, we're not going to go through there, but we're going to find a way. And that's why they've been pushing further down that way.
Border Patrol would definitely be overworked. They don't have the numbers. They can't really cover most of this border. So we kind of, take the weight off of their shoulders and do what we can to help out.
Governor Greg Abbott declares an invasion on the southern border. The Texas National Guard continues to focus on turning back and repelling illegal migrants.
Part of TRUE is a tactical response unit out here helping with the mission Lone Star. Tonight, me and my team tracked a group of illegal aliens to some thick brush in the mission area. So we decided to drive around to the other side strategically to cut them off. I heard a noise and spotted 3 illegal aliens. We captured them and brought them to Border Patrol.
The Tactical Response Unit is a specialized team trained to interdict and deter illegal activity, acting as the first line of defense on the southern border.
I think today's mission was a success. I think we accomplished in not allowing criminals or drugs to come through to the streets of Texas.
So we have our soldiers repeating Title VIII to the migrants on the other side, reminding them that if they cross illegally, they will have a 5-year probationary period when they are deported back to Mexico. What we've done is, by giving that deterrence messaging here in Brownsville, we've seen a drastic reduction in the numbers here, and they have been given a clear message on what we're going to do and what they should be doing going into the port of entry. I've been on Operation Lone Star for 1 year and 9 months. I like OLS a lot. I think the mission is critical. It's a humanitarian crisis, what's happening here. The trans-criminal organizations, I think, are really exploiting the situation by passing the migrants where they're at, and then also running nefarious activities in other locations at the same time. It really takes our attention to this area to deter the migrant traffic, so the Border Patrol can focus on the more nefarious activities, and the DPS can also help out with that type of activity that's happening on the sidelines.
I joined the drone team because I felt like the capabilities a drone brings would be more efficient to the OLS mission itself. It makes us extremely proficient. The capabilities that drone teams bring to the mission is that we can get eyes on from about 1.5 miles out from us.
And these are our guys. Oh, he's going to push right out to the road.
So we can coordinate our ground teams and walk them in to have less of resistance of IAs being captured. It's more safe for the members themselves from running in the dark, running in bushes, twisting an ankle, and we just walk up on the IAs and there's not really resistance. They're already caught.
we ended up getting the opportunity to deter some migrants that tried to illegally cross into the United States. In our area of operation, there's a number of sensors, and they managed to hit one of those sensors. Border Patrol said that it was clear, but just for good measure, we decided to go into the reeds and check the banks thoroughly. We managed to track them via some signs, some trash, and some discarded wet clothes that they left behind.
Well, no, we're missing one that went into the creek, so follow the creek, guys.
And we managed to see them, made our presence known, and whenever we did that, they managed to go back to the mic side. We're here to basically be thorough because BP is a little bit short-handed right now. So if we can give them peace of mind by thoroughly inspecting the brush, then that's what we'll do.
We had a pretty successful night. We apprehended quite a few illegal immigrants. We were able to assist Border Patrol. So we had a successful night. It's an uphill battle. There's a lot more to do. You know, we're able to assist BP and DPS fill some gaps, especially with everything going on currently with Title 42. BP is currently, in some locations, being pulled off the line to do admin duties. We're able to fill those gaps and help them out as much as possible. I had a medic, in fact, tonight who was able to treat a wounded illegal immigrant. So that worked out pretty good. Very proud of him.
I take care of my soldiers first, and I take care of any migrants that come across if they have any sort of ailments if I'm available. So if we manage to intercept them and get them the proper care that they need, especially as a medic, then I feel like I'm doing my job at the end of the day.
I try to get out as much as I can, spend some time out here with the guys, sweat with them. I think you, as a leader, you got to get out here and get dirty with them as well. Several contributing attributes. You got to be patient, number one. You got to know how to move tactically. You got to know how to move quietly. Work under nods, which a lot of guys don't have a lot of experience with. On the M-Day side, if you come on this mission, you're going to get a lot of experience working under nods, working at night, working small teams. They're learning a lot of things they probably wouldn't experience on an M-Day status. So Alpha Company's made a huge impact on this mission. Most of these guys have been down here for over 365 days, and they're doing it because they love it. They're doing it because they feel like they make a difference.
So it is it's a few weeks old, but it really gives a good view of what's going on there and how we do have the military. We have the National Guard at the border, but it's the state National Guard. The federal government is supposed to be in charge of the border, and instead they are doing something completely different. And if you listen to that video I had there with Byron Daniels, what Biden did when he got into office was he reversed the executive orders from Trump, and he made some new ones or whatever, and that is how this madness has continued. And then now, of course, we're going into by all appearances World War III over there in Iran, in the Middle East.
Yeah.
This guy is a disaster.
It's rather unclear what our objective, well, I don't even want to say what their objective is.
It is very unclear, and I agree. I am going to stop saying our as well, because it is not us. It's them. Yeah, it is what they are doing, and we are allowing it to happen. But it's not us. The only way we can really peacefully not allow it to happen is with the monetary revolution, and that's by. And we're not financial advisors, but that's how we do it. You put the money that you can afford to miss into gold, into silver, into Bitcoin or Litecoin, Global Boost, these ones that cannot be, they can't be diluted. Okay. Rand Paul, the media is clamoring to know what Biden will do to punish Iran or its proxies for killing our soldiers. The question not being asked is what Biden could have done to prevent the tragic deaths of 3 of our soldiers in Jordan. Really, just a mess. Yeah, God rest these guys' souls. That's rough, man. 3 service members killed by the, I don't know if it's a Iran drone strike, but the drone strike. Anyway, he's complaining about that. Mike is he's a city council guy. He's a good guy. We know each other. It's just and then you got, of course, the Houthis, and the Houthis are keeping the Red Sea basically an embargo there. We have I don't know if boots on, whatever you want to call boots on the ground. I don't hear anybody even talking about that anymore. I mean, I guess it's just pretty much agreed that we have boots on the ground at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether they're on one side of the border or the other side of the border type of deal, it seems like pretty clear that we are very much in this war. And I hope not, but what happened with the drone strike may be a prelude to what more of what's to come.
Yeah, I hope not.
I hope not. We had our biggest year yet. We sold $358 billion in arms. Huge number. $350 billion. And that is arms. Now this is interesting here. This is World War III has been predicted by the Illuminati back in 1871. I want to show this clip here. Let's watch this here.
Predicted 3 world wars. The First World War, he said, must be brought about, and I'm quoting from Albert Pike. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and German empires will be used to foment this war. He says, quote, the Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism will be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. He's now thinking about this Third World War, and it says that it will be caused by the differences between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. That's what it says. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion.
Now, I want to say something about that. Then I'm going to play another video, though, real quick. I know a lot of people get kind of emotional when you talk about the state of Israel. The current state of Israel is not the old Israel from before. Those are different countries. So just to be clear about that, this current state of Israel has existed for about 70 years. It's not the same one as before, but these guys that plan that Albert Pike published, it's been correct. World War I, it predicted World War II, and now World War III. Says that these political Zionists and the Islamic world are going to basically annihilate each other. It's going to be a heck of a war if that happens. I hope not.
Jekyll Island.
I talk about this often, so it's important to talk about it because the way they're able to finance these wars is because they have the central bank. They don't need to go to Congress anymore. You elect your congressional people, and those congressional representatives are supposed to represent you, but they don't have to anymore because we've been bypassed. Our government has been overthrown. It's almost all the governments of the world.
This is Jekyll Island, where in 1910, representatives from the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Morgans, and other private bankers gathered secretly to draft the legislation that would create the Federal Reserve. I found it revealing that in the same year the Federal Reserve was founded, 1913, the Internal Revenue Service was also established. An income tax was then instigated so you and I would have to pay the politicians' debt plus interest to the bankers. The problem is we have a privately owned central bank system in the United States disguised as a government-owned system. Now, if you look in the telephone book here in the Washington, D.C. area, you look up for Federal Reserve in the blue government pages, it's not there. It's in the white pages right next to Federal Express. It's a privately owned central bank.
Central banks are banking
Banking cartels. Central banks are banking cartels. Really important that people understand that, because that's how, and I talked about it last night in New Jersey, and I am a bit lack of sleep. I will have to say that. I've done a couple of dumb things this morning, even some costly mistakes, but I'll survive. It's like, the lack of sleep will hit you sooner or later. I got back from New Jersey last night at about 1:30 in the morning or so, and I woke up at 5 and haven't been back to sleep yet. Anyway, so we have a private central banking system masquerading as a federal system, and so the people that we don't even know who controls it. They have like a board of governors, quote unquote, but like they don't really control anything. So the families that started it, the Morgans, the Rothschilds, and the Rockefellers are who hold the bank. And there's some other families involved too, but it really is a situation that we need to get our hands around. And the way we do that is by not using the money, by getting out of that money. We don't need to run on the bank per se, but we need to get control back so that we can't be diluted. Here's some more information on it.
And it's like an octopus with arms. It's many, many arms, but you got to go after the head of the octopus in this one. Who is it? The central banks, the IMF, the ECB, the private West central banks, the BIZ, the Rothschild banks.
The Federal Reserve really, even though it is not part of the federal government, it is more powerful than the federal government. It's more powerful than the president, the Congress, and the courts.
The problem is that since 1864, we've had a debt-based banking system. All our money is based on government debt. We cannot extinguish government debt without extinguishing our money supply. That's why talk of paying off the national debt without reforming our banking system is an impossibility. That's why the solution does not lie in discussing the size of the national debt. Rather, it lies in reforming our banking system. There's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve, and there are no reserves. The name is a deception created back before the Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913 to make Americans think that America's central bank operates in the public interest.
Your voice is powerful when combined with social engagement.
So, there's a lot of juice in that. There's a lot of juice in that. Yeah. And you've heard me say a lot of that stuff that's in there. Everybody that's watching, obviously, David, you and I have heard each other say it a lot. But we will never get ourselves, the national debt will never be paid off. The last time, do you know when the national time, the last time the national debt was at zero?
No, I'm not sure.
Shortly after World War II, I think. I'd have to check, as I said it. And remember, I have lack of sleep, so I shouldn't have even mentioned it. But we quote unquote paid off the national debt. But really, it's impossible to pay off the national debt because every dollar that you're using, the dollar is an instrument. People need to understand that. Just like a Bitcoin or just like any other instrument that you might use, a note, a treasury note, anything like that, it's a monetary instrument. And so the U.S. dollar isn't just, I don't know how else to explain it. So the U.S. dollar is a debt instrument. So you get to use the U.S. dollar. The government gets to use the U.S. dollar. The dollar is lent to us by the central bank. Why are we borrowing U.S. dollars from the central bank? It's like the first thing that comes to anybody's mind. Well, hold on. That doesn't make sense. Why are we doing that? Well, you're right. It doesn't make sense. And for every $100 that we borrow from the central bank, attached to that is $3 of debt. So when we send 800 billion over to wherever to go fight some wars, not only did we just mint that money out of nowhere and you just got diluted to the tune of 800 billion, but you also have to pay the debt, which is about 3% from the figures that I see of that amount. So we'll never get out of debt. It's like an impossibility. The thing has to crash or just keep printing until, but as they print, they're just taking more and more and more money from you. So it makes sense that it has to crash at some point, which is what I've been saying for a long time. It has to crash. It hasn't crashed yet, though. But I think it's coming soon.
Yeah, it's at its 100-year course anyways.
Well, that's true, too. Fiat currencies normally only outlast so long. And this one is actually longer. I won't get into that. No one likes to hear about when we really started fiat currency. So this particular one was taken off the gold standard in 1933. And you could still trade it in for gold at that point, but there was no ratio. It wasn't a set ratio. And then Nixon, of course, finished the job in 1971, I believe it was, and took us completely off the gold standard. You couldn't go to your bank and get gold anymore off the gold standard. It was not even a standard, but took us off gold. It was initially a constitutional mandate. It was mandated in the Constitution that you had to use gold or silver as currency, because the founding fathers knew and they saw what the Bank of England had done, the central bank that they had there, and how that turned into a complete mess. And of course, we were upset about the taxes that we were getting from England, and that's what started this our freedom and everything else that went on from there. So pretty interesting stuff, guys. Yeah. Go to @costmetals.club, get involved. Go to Global Boost with the dot between the O and the ST. Get involved. Don't we're not financial advisors or anything like that, and we're not the @cost metals is you get metals at cost. You join the club. Of course, there's some commission that goes on there. But as far as Global Boost, we don't get any money off of you buying the coins or anything like that. But you can trade the coins. You can use the coins. They are just like Bitcoin. They are impossible to freeze, seize, take by. It's decentralized. And get involved, because that's the important stuff. That's how we take the power back. The other options you don't want to talk about. They're not really options. They're not real options. The monetary revolution is how we do it, guys. Oh yeah, check out Booster Live. Booster with no E between the R. Booster with no E .live, and check out our peer-to-peer encrypted super secret, nobody can listen to you app. David, I'm signing off. Cheers.
Thank you, Bruce, and we'll see everybody soon.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.